went through college, our system here was the envy of the rest of the world. I can remember taking a summer school course at UCLA. It was $118, and that included healthcare and parking. You know, that's what it was in the late 60s. And we need to get back there, but we need something that solves other problems and pulls everybody together. The environment, energy, national security, all of them come together, and we can do it, and we need education to get us there. And it's all you people in this room that we've got to fund you, get you through it, and not strap you with these student loans so you're half your life trying to pay those off. So that's what
Senator Rohrabacher, 1 minute rebuttal.
Yeah, I've obviously misunderstood me. I have been deeply involved with the development of alternative energy resources, and I'm very proud, especially of the money that I have made sure that NASA allocates towards space solar power, which is, I believe, in the future going to provide solar power from space. But in the meantime, I've also been involved with wind and tidal and solar power development here. We oversee their budget, and I have not been a budget cutter for the development of these energy alternatives. Of course, my main approach would be to hopefully get the private sector involved, not to tax away all their money so the government has to do everything. But by the way, about the 71,000 engineers, yeah, that's why I work so hard in the scholarship program so people can earn their money for their education. But what we also have to do to get more engineers here is to make sure we pay our engineers more money. And the fact is that this administration, and I might add many members of Congress of both parties, keep bringing more and more people from overseas into this country under H-1B visas, which cause a depression in the wages that our own engineers and scientists are able to get for their work. So what we should be doing is paying our engineers more money, and also paying teachers who teach science and mathematics more money than we do paying teachers who are teaching courses that aren't quite as important to our national security.
Well, all right then. Moving on from the topic. I'd like to address a question to Mr. Brandt about Social Security. Thinking about Social Security, how would you describe the cause and extent of the problem, and what kind of legislation would you support to address this issue?
Okay, I'll address that, but I just want to rebut one thing quick. Is on the H-1 visas, I'm in the contracting business and I use them all the time, and if people obey the law, we enforce it. What my opponent just said isn't true. What he said is true, that that's what happens, and he's right about that. But it's against the law for you to advertise and try to find talent here. And when you can't find it, you pull it from another country, it's against the law to pay them a lower amount. There are federal laws in place, but he's right. So we need to enforce it, is the problem here. With Social Security, the problem is that our economy isn't solved. You know, the budget deficit. We keep stealing from the Social Security Trust Fund. And most of you that study economy know that we keep changing the accounting rules. I had a headache trying to study it the last couple of months to figure out what the deficit really is. You know, if we had to do it the way we do it for business and account for all the liabilities and war and I don't understand how that's off budget. But all of these things, you know, $1.5 billion a week. If we had to account for all of that, the estimates that I've heard on the Wall Street Journal and read is somewhere between 40 and 50 trillion. If we counted, like I say, all the liabilities are on the books and everything. And they keep stealing from the Social Security Trust Fund. Now what you'll hear from the Republicans is the idea of privatizing. And I'm dead set against that. Here's what I believe. People have worked hard their whole lives, and they've been promised a defined benefit, a certain amount, and you can't have somebody working 50, 40 years, and then you change the rules after the fact. And we've seen what happens in the private industry with Enron, with United Airlines. I can go on and on and on and on. And we don't want to turn Social Security into something like that. But what I will say is I'm not afraid to listen to good ideas from the other side. And I want all of our people, including senior citizens, to have access. So therefore, I think programs like 401ks, those should not be through employers. I don't understand it. That's an IRS program. Why should you be denied being able to invest in the stock market tax deferred because of who your employer is? And if they want privatized, leave Social Security alone. Change the 401k program and have it apply to everybody. Because it should. It shouldn't matter who's your employer. And they get to decide who you can invest with. They get to decide whether or not you can have one. And if you can't, they hold against you, then you're stuck with your IRA, with those limits. It's not right. So I think we can have both. Let's save the Social Security system the way we promised it to everybody, and then convert the 401k and let people invest in the stock market if that's what they want to do. But don't mess with what has been guaranteed.
A 3-minute response.
Well, first and foremost, let's take a look at the H-1B visa issue. I'm sure all of you would like to know that we have hundreds of thousands of people coming from the subcontinent of Asia. And if you don't think that has an impact on what these people are going to get paid, I better go back to basic economics. The fact is, we should not be bringing in all of these engineers and scientists. We should be training our own. And one of the reasons that we are not getting the quality kids into the engineering science programs is because the pay level is low. As long as we're bringing in hundreds of thousands of people from foreign countries to take these jobs, that will mean these kids are going to get paid less, and fewer people are going to get into that profession. I mean, it's simple economics. In terms of Social Security, let's just note this, and again, I'm not going to be a Johnny One-Note, but illegal immigration has an impact on all of these things. Just as it has an impact on education, when you have limited funds for education and spend them for illegals. The fact is, in Social Security, the United States Senate just voted to give Social Security benefits to illegal immigrants. Now, let me tell you what that means. There are hundreds of millions of people. There are hundreds of millions of people within distance of coming here who have no pensions at all. They're not bad people, but we cannot afford to give people who come to this country illegally, put them into our Social Security system. That would destroy it. And that's what's, that's an alternative that we're being given right now. And quite frankly, Social Security isn't just a pension system. We give illegals Social Security rights. If they die here, that means their survivors will get government stipends, which is also part of the Social Security system. The most important thing we can do right now to make sure that a crisis doesn't emerge within a few years is to make sure that illegal immigrants do not worm their way into the system, as I believe they have. Second of all, yeah, we're going to face a crisis a couple decades down the road. We should try to be more responsible about this. The most important thing is keeping the economy strong so that more people are working and paying into the system. The most important element that I see that we can change right now is to make sure that each and every American working person is part of the Social Security system. There are millions of people now who, for political contacts and maneuverings, have got themselves out of the system. So school teachers, public officials in different states, everybody should be part of the system. And that will help us a long way, keeping the illegals out and making sure that everybody's in. Will make sure that this doesn't go into a crisis.
All right, and a 1-minute response to you.
Okay. First of all, on the H-1 visas, I didn't say they weren't doing it. I said the law is there, we just don't enforce it. It's against the law to do what they're doing right now. I've turned plenty of people in, nothing happens. On the Social Security, as far as tying everything to illegal immigration, the tax laws are set up based on if people working and are paying taxes, then presumably it's designed properly that they'll cover it. That isn't the problem. The problem is we've got these illegal employers that aren't paying the taxes, that aren't being held. And my plan calls for 120 prosecutors that goes after the employers and makes them pay. It doesn't have anything to do with the people coming across the border. Because if everybody paid their taxes,